So today we're starting our ramble on in the little village of Milton Malsor, just south of Northampton. And here's the Greyhound, which is a good enough place to start. The main pub in the village. And next door to it here, through the trees, this used to be the Hope Brewery, the Phipps brewing family, who are quite famous in Northampton. That was the brewery. Now it's apartments. So we're going to have a walk through the village now, down past the village green and look at some of the old houses, round to the Manor House and the church. There we are, there's a better view of the brewery and the pub. And behind that wall there's the Manor House. There's two Manor Houses in Milton Malsor, a little bit confusing, but we'll have a look at them in more detail later. That gives us some context where we are, quite close to Blisworth. And this is the village green, the memorial, the war memorial, surrounded by lots of nice old cottages. A lovely old house there. Most of the village is a conservation area and hasn't changed much in hundreds of years. There we have the primitive Methodist chapel, now a house. It tells us 1865, and up there's the village green, and we're just carrying on a little bit further down here. That's a very old house there, Stockwell farmhouse, and the cottage, obviously originally farms. We've got all the open fields out there, and we're just going round to the church now, up here, Green Street. A very snug looking thatch cottage, just coming up to the end of Green Street, and up here, oh here we go, the old bakery, very nice, another old cottage there. More thatch cottages and old properties, and here we have a sorry sight really, the pub, the Compass. I walked past just over 12 months ago, and it was what looked like a real locals pub, very old fashioned, obviously in need of a bit of love and attention, but it's closed now completely. Looks like it's been here for hundreds of years. And here we have the Baptist chapel. I never really understand the difference between the Baptist and the Methodist, because both of them had chapels. We've got a blue plaque here telling us that the pastor was Thomas Marriott, that built it in 1827. That's right. And here's the manse next door where the pastor lived. Presumably the same period. We've got a lovely little thatch cottage here. And this brings us back to the village green. So we'll be turning round in a moment and going back the other way towards the church. We're looking at the village green from the opposite side now, and here's the lovely sign that tells us we're in Milton Malsor. So this is Malsor Lane, and this is Milton Malsor Manor, but it's not the Manor House. Very confusing. But it's 17th century apparently, and very nice indeed. And across there, some farm buildings associated with it. Strange to have two manor houses in such a little village. So we've turned left now on Rectory Lane, and behind this old wall we've got all these houses. Milton House and Milton Cottage are early 18th century and listed, and down here we follow the wall. There's Manor Farm over there, big stone built building, and on the left down here we've got the other manor house, which is the older of the two, which is early 17th century. It's got a blue plaque on for somebody, James Harrington, that wrote a controversial book in the 1700s. There it is through there. The dovecot there, that's got a grade 2 listing as well in its own right, as has the manor house. So we'll just go down here, and there it is. It's got a coat of arms on. Very, very old indeed. There's the old farm buildings. And here we have the blue plaque. Oh, Harrington. James Harrington. Lived here 1614. And there's the manor. This looks like a secret gate into the garden of the manor house. Well, it's not really that secret, is it? And across here is a very interesting building. I can't see any identifying marks on it. A very old wall down there. Shame that 2 of the windows are boarded up. Doesn't look very lived in. So we've come round in a full circle now, and we're at the church, which is mostly late 13th, early 14th century. They're so very old, aren't they, these churches in these little villages? Incredible to think that people would have been going there all those hundreds of years ago. And we're going to walk down here next, which is called Colin Road, over the motorway bridge, and into an even smaller village called Collingtree. Now over here, this field, which is known as the Lathe, you can actually see signs of a medieval field system, sort of pre-enclosure. I don't know whether we can see much today because of the weather. But yeah, you can see the lumps and bumps in the field that show that there was something there much earlier, rather than the cows over towards the manor house. We've just walked down from the church now, down the hill, back towards the village, and this is the Grange, which was built around 1800. Very interesting little blocked up. Don't know whether it was a passageway or an arch there with a room above it, and through there used to be a carpentry workshop. Nice property.